Hey guys, in this video, I'm going to be teaching you 5 very simple but effective steps to help you to better manage your money as an entrepreneur, just so you don't go broke. So if you want to learn exactly what these 5 steps are because you're struggling with money management, then make sure you watch this entire video. Welcome back to my channel, guys. Thank you so much once again for checking out my video. I really do appreciate it. If this is your first time on my channel, my name is Kirk Buchanan, and on this channel I teach people how to start, run and manage their businesses on the internet. So if you too want to learn exactly how to do that, then it's highly recommended that you get subscribed to my channel, and you can do that by clicking the red button below my video and tapping on the notification bell, and that way you'll be notified when I release my new content. Alright, so with that said, let me dive into my computer screen right now and show you exactly how you should be managing your expenses as an entrepreneur, just so you don't go broke. Okay guys, so before I dive into the details of this section of the presentation, I want to recommend to you once again to watch the entire video, because I'm going to be sharing some very useful steps, some very useful tips to help you to be better off financially in the future. Alright, so personal finance is very important, and every single successful person I know takes personal finance very seriously, and you should too if you have hopes of actually being financially free and having financial independence in the future. Alright, so one of the biggest impactors of actually being financially free is that you should understand money management, right? But what you find is that money management is actually not taught in schools. Alright, so I've gone through schools. Alright, so from kindergarten all the way to university, and I've never learned anything about money management or personal finance. And I find that extremely strange. Alright, so if you want to learn about money management and personal finance, you have to do it on your own. So you can either find a mentor, read books, attend seminars, take courses on this topic to understand personal finance. But it's very important that you understand fully personal finance. It's a basic topic. It's not very difficult to learn at all, but yet still a lot of people don't know exactly what it is about. For starters, if you're just getting started and you want to really understand personal finance and know the basics of personal finance, I highly recommend you read books. And my #1 favorite book for beginners as it relates to personal finance is called The Richest Man in Babylon by George Clason. Read that book. It's very easy to read. It's a small book, and I'm going to leave a link in the description so you guys can check it out. Alright, so for the rest of this video, I'm going to be talking to you about the 5 steps that I personally use in my life to help me with my personal financial situation as an entrepreneur, because I know a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with personal finance and managing their money and doing the right things as it relates to actually setting themselves up for success in the future. Alright, so I'm going to be talking to you about the fluctuations in income and how I manage that and how I deal with it. I'm going to be talking to you about expenses and how to make sure that your fluctuations in income is enough for your expense and how to think about that. I'm going to be talking to you about savings. A lot of people don't understand how to save as entrepreneurs. I'm going to be talking to you about analyzing expense, and there's one key line that we usually add to our expense that I want to talk to you guys about specifically as well. And I'm going to be telling you exactly how to deal with surpluses and where you should be putting surpluses at the end of each month. Alright, so 5 very simple steps to cover. So let me start right now with #1. Alright, so as an entrepreneur, a digital entrepreneur like myself, we usually have different sources of income, right? Even if you don't have multiple sources of income, the principles still apply. So just bear with me. So in my case, and this is a fictitious scenario, these numbers are fictitious, and I just wanted to give you guys the principle. So it's about the principle and not the numbers, right? Let's assume, for example, that this internet entrepreneur has 5 streams of income. In my case, I have 5 streams of income, and that's why I'm using 5. So as you guys know, I make money from the drop shipping, I make money from affiliate marketing, I make money from coaching, I make money from ad revenue, from my blog. Lots of different ways I make money as a digital entrepreneur. So 5 streams of income in my case. Alright, so what I highly recommend and suggest that you do, and this is a pro tip right here for you guys who are entrepreneur with fluctuations in income, is that you take an average of your income either over the last 3 months or 6 months or 9 months or a year, And when you get that average, use your average as your base, as your full-time income. So in my case, if this right here was my monthly income, 1550, 1500, 1430, and in June 1700, the average for that would be 1530. So I'm going to be using 1530 as my income. So all of my expenses have to fit within that 1530 as my income. All right, so that is tip number one. Understand exactly where your income is coming from. Understand your sources of income and use an average, right? Get an average and use that as a base for your income and make sure that your expenses can fit within that income. All right, so step number two, of course, is to know exactly what your expenses are. A lot of us don't know exactly what our expenses are. All right, so prime example. Just a couple of weeks ago, I was going through one of my statements and I realized that I was paying a subscription, paying money to a subscription service I no longer use. Alright, so that is one way I was wasting money. So a lot of us just don't know exactly where our expenses are going. So I highly recommend you take a check off your expenses, go through and make sure that all of your expenses are necessary expenses. I'm going to get back to this line highlighted in yellow because that is actually step number 3 and it's a very important step that you must follow and it's going to help you a lot with your financial future. Alright, so make sure you list out your expenses: rent, grocery, car, transportation, entertainment, courses, education, and emergency. Alright, so I highly recommended that you have an emergency, and I'm going to talk about emergency in step number 4 as well. And that's the reason why I have those two highlighted. Step number 1, understand your income streams. Step number 2, manage your expenses. Understand exactly what your expenses are. So step number 3 is to actually add savings as an expense. So a lot of people, if you guys understand accounting, you're going to be like, what? This guy don't know anything about accounting. He doesn't know what he's saying. But this is a strategy that I've been using and it works great. And it's one of the teachings from the exact book I recommended to you earlier. Alright, so the richest man in Babylon says pay yourself first. So when you get your income, you want to pay yourself at least 10% of that, right? First. And by paying yourself, it means saving and saving to invest that money. So every single month, I ensure that I pay myself 10% of my income for that month. And the easiest way for me to pay myself without actually having to dip in my pocket and feeling weird about it is to set it as an expense. So every month when I get my income or my check or whatever it is, that 10% goes to a savings account immediately without me even touching it. Alright, so it comes as a part of my expense and I add it to my expense and it has to fit in my expense budget. Alright, so that is why it is in yellow, and that is my third step to actually helping you with your personal finances. Add savings as an expense. Add it to your expense column. Alright, so we are preconditioned to want to cover every single expense we have. We want to pay our bills every month. That's how we grew up. Your parents always tell you that, hey, make sure you can cover the bills. Rent has to be paid. Your bills have to be paid. You have to buy grocery, etc., etc. Adding savings to that list will make it a lot easier for you to save money as well. Step number 4 is to actually take steps to reduce your expenses, and that is why I have this one highlighted right here in red. Alright, so it's highly recommended to have emergency fund as a part of your expense. Contingency, we don't know what can happen, right? So you need to have some money put away for unforeseen circumstances, whatever it is. But what you'll find is that, and what research has shown is that most of the times when we budget emergency expenses, we don't actually have any emergencies. And what we tend to do with that money is to actually take it and spend it on things we don't need. Alright, so that is why I have it highlighted in red. Whenever a month has ended and you haven't spent your emergency fund, you need to take that emergency money and actually add it to your surplus. Alright, so adding it to your surplus is what we're going to talk about in step number 5. Make sure that your expenses are always lower than your income, of course. And when you have additional money, which is surplus, that you did not spend on an expense, you need to add it to that surplus. And with your surplus, you want to put your surplus, which is step 5, in savings. You want to build up a savings account to the point where it can sustain you for about 3 to 6 months if your income streams dried up. All right, 3 to 6 months. You want to have that in a savings account. Once you have enough money in your savings account that can sustain you for 3 to 6 months, then every excess after that should go into a long-term investment portfolio. So it could be into stocks, it could be into bonds, it could be into ETFs, could be into crypto, whatever it is that you're into. It could be into real estate. Those are some of the investment vehicles that you want to put that surplus in. All right, so that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about. Those are the 5 steps, and I'm going to recap them for you guys right now, just to drive the point home for you to so you can fully understand exactly how it is that I manage my personal finance as an entrepreneur, dealing with fluctuations in income and having fixed expenses every month. All right, so step number 1, make sure you know your income streams. Make sure you take an average of that and use your average as your base income. Step number 2 is to make sure that you know exactly what your expenses are, and so you can keep track of each of those. Step number 3 is to add savings as an expense. This will help you to save a lot more money, as opposed to actually trying to save after you've spent all your money paying your rent and your entertainment. Step number 4 is to take steps to actually reduce your expense. Oftentimes, we are left with surplus at the end of the month, and we spend it on unnecessary expenses. So you need to figure out how to reduce your expenses and how to save money that you don't necessarily need to spend. So you can have that to use in step number 5, which says that you should save all of your surplus to invest. All right, so you want to save up to 3 to 6 months in savings, and every single excess after that goes to an investment account. And that is how I manage my personal finances as an entrepreneur, dealing with fluctuations in income, and it has been working for me, and I highly recommend you give it a try. All right, so if you liked this content, if you liked the video, if you liked what I'm saying, give me a like. If you have any questions or comments, drop them in the comment box below. And finally, once again, guys, I'm always putting out great content. As you can see, I've been putting out a lot of content in the past couple of days. If you want to be notified when I release my new videos, make sure you get subscribed to my channel. All right, so that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.